CRO, Bitcoin, and also the S&P 500 are showing signs of weakness, mainly due to the fear of new tariffs coming soon. So, is there anything to be worried about, or is this a buy the dip opportunity? Well guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only Coin Baron, and this video is sponsored by WolfSwap, one of the biggest places to trade crypto on the Cronos chain. But more about that later. First, I want to talk about Liberation Day. Donald J. Trump declared April the 2nd, so next Wednesday, as Liberation Day, as that's the date that many trade tariffs will start to commence here. So this is going to be a big day, mainly also for European countries, for Canadian countries, for Mexico, for China. Basically, the whole global world will be impacted by these US tariffs. And for better or for worse, it's going to start. And so far, the response really from the stock market and from crypto has been really bad. So what you can see for Cronos, it isn't looking all too bad, honestly, here on the daily chart. But if I take a look here at the S&P 500, it started all so well. So Trump came to office and there was a great rally for the S&P. Tech stocks were soaring. We saw also factories soaring. But there we go. S&P 500 going down. And not only the S&P 500 is going down, this also caused a big thing really for consumer trust. Currently, there's a 35% chance for a US recession, also mainly based on, for example, consumer trust. So if people think a recession is coming, they might start to really save up for a recession because they might lose their job. And when people start saving more instead of spending, an actual recession might be coming. But I also want to give you guys a counter argument because there's so much fear in the market. There's so much fear. We have to take a look at the facts here. We have to take a look at the facts because this isn't the first time we got Trump in office, and it's not the first time we got the tariff playbook. And markets, of course, are forward-looking. They are forward-looking. So maybe it's actually more of a sell the rumor, buy the news opportunity. So I want to go back here to the first Trump administration and also the first Trump tariffs, because that was kind of happening here in 2018. 2018 was kind of interesting because also that was when we hit an all-time high for Bitcoin at the start of January. However, also when we hit some lows for Bitcoin, but also for the S&P 500 back then in that cycle. So what is interesting, the tariffs were, I think, announced in December, November 2018. That's also when you saw this big collapse here for the US S&P 500. However, as you can see if you zoom out, it was only for a short while. It was really only for a short while. The question, of course, is will we see a dip as big as this one? So this dip was actually huge for the S&P 500, minus 17%. So somewhat close to, of course, a stock recession. However, we're not there yet. We're only at about 9%. So if we're going to repeat something like this, well, the tariffs might actually cause an even bigger dip, so something like we've seen in 2018. But I want to again remind you guys that this dip was only very temporary. Very temporary. It really only took about, this was the beginning of December, in January already, so only like 5 weeks later, we already bounced back up to the same level. So yeah, we might see a bigger drop. That is also, I think, why Bitcoin has a potential chance to break down to even lower levels. So let's say about 77K, like where we were previously. But of course, nothing here is a financial advice, guys. I'm only telling you guys what has happened so far in the past and what we might see. And I think it is also good to understand that this Bitcoin chart here, this was a symmetrical triangle, but unfortunately it broke down. There's a bit of a resurgence as we are talking right now, but so far, well, I would say it isn't really changing the overall structure. This is still a textbook breakdown and it might bring us even lower. But I think currently it's really waiting for the S&P 500. It is really waiting for the S&P 500 to see, are we going to dip lower? Because I can show you guys what happened. I can show you guys what happened here with Bitcoin in 2018. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. So remember December 2018. 2018 started off really bullish for Bitcoin, as we just had a new all-time high near the end of 2017, going to about 90K for Bitcoin. But then, unfortunately, after a parabolic rise, we also saw a lot of weakness coming in for Bitcoin. And I think the worst part of the cycle was really this. I don't know if you guys were there. I think many people tuned out back then. But this was brutal. Going down already from 6K, so we're down already about, what is it? We're down already 60%. We went down even 50% more. That was really a brutal part of the bull market. Within only a few weeks, we went down 50% from 6K to 3K. So it is really interesting because this period perfectly corresponds with, again, this period in November 2018, just after the tariff. So honestly, guys, crypto isn't spared for bearish tariff news from the Trump administration, as you can see here in the previous cycle in 2018. The good thing though, like with also the S&P 500, it can recover. It took a bit longer for Bitcoin, but again, also Bitcoin went to new highs. If you bought Bitcoin at about 3K here, guys, congratulations. You're probably very, very rich as we're speaking right now. But anyways, we might see something very similar like this. So could we see about a 50% drop after the tariff announcement? Maybe. But I also would like to reiterate that this is not the same. Like, history can rhyme, but it always never really repeats here. Because this time around, I wouldn't really say we are in a bear market. We are still, I think, in a bull market. So I don't expect the same bearish sentiment as like back then. And also, I would like to remember you guys that we already dropped quite a bit after the first tariff announcement, because this tariff thing has been going on already since the beginning of February. And then we did drop already about 30%. So with diminishing increases for Bitcoin, I think also diminishing losses are a thing. So this might have been it. This might have been it already for Bitcoin, because we've heard about this news. We know about tariffs already for a long time. The only thing that we now are going to see is how much of an actual effect tariffs are going to have on the economy. And I do believe, guys, we will be fine. We recovered really quickly in 2018. So why should things be different this cycle? I also like to talk a bit more about the CRO chart, but first a quick word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor, WolfSwap, has a very exclusive feature only available on the Cronos zkAVM chain, and you can find it by going to more and then press Stake Wolves. If you are staking Wolves, you can claim free Moon tokens on their platform. And all you got to do is stake here the Wolf 404 NFT. And because they are 404s, you can easily purchase them like you would do with any other token. So if you press Purchase Wolf, it will direct you to that trading platform. And all you got to do is buy exactly one Wolf token. And if you have one Wolf token, you automatically get the Wolf NFT as well. Once you got one Wolf, you can go back to Stake Wolves and start the staking process. And then you can claim free Moon tokens. Anyways, let's go back to CRO, because last week we closed the week very bullish with a big green candle, but so far the week is starting out in the red. And I think, of course, guys, the week can still change a lot because this is only Monday. We have 6 more days left to decide if it's going to become red or green. But the last few times we touched this logarithmic trend line here, we at least had a few green candles after each other. So here we got 1, 2, 3 green candles. And here also we got 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 green candles after each other. So if history is going to repeat anything like this, this is still going to change into the green. But of course, we have to wait and see. Next Sunday, we have another weekly live stream, the weekly close. So join us 9 p.m. Amsterdam time to see how it's going to play out. I would like to say that also on the weekly, on the daily time frame, we're seeing some very interesting things play out as we're speaking, because this is also looking very much like a symmetrical triangle. However, what you have to include here is also, I would say this here, this big candle, this daily candle is looking much like a flagpole. So that's also why I would say it's not only a symmetrical triangle, it's also a bullish pennant. And bullish pennants typically break up. But so far, we are below the structural, right at this structure. So if it's going to hold, it probably will bounce the next few days in between those lines here. So very interesting. It will have to escape, I think, at the latest on Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be very interesting. I will try to keep you guys up to date. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more. Honestly, I am again amazed by how perfectly both the news and the charts are aligning, because Wednesday is also the day for the Trump tariff. So going to be very, very exciting. I personally again think it might be buy the news event instead of a sell the news, because it might have been priced in already. We've been hearing about tariffs for a long time now, so let's see how it's going to really play out. And if you want to learn more, don't forget also to check out this video here that I recorded recently.